Hey everyone, it's Bo the Mechanic again. Today I'm going to show you a new little thing, and this will help you hopefully in a lot of different chores you might have around the house, fixing stuff. This is going to be how to solder. I haven't had anything here recently that I needed to solder, so I haven't been able to make a video for you, but it's definitely very useful. Man, I use it all the time. You can ask anybody that knows me. Man, I fix TVs, I fix, shoot, today I'll show you guys how to fix this little thing. I don't even know. A lot of you girls know what it is. It's called a chi hair straightener. These things are notorious for breaking. These little chis, they're like a hair thing for girls, and they clamp their hair and they pull it and it straightens it. But a bunch of girlfriends that I've had, they all break, and where they break is inside here in the switch. You know, your girlfriend might have one of these. She might turn it on and off, and the little light never comes on. There's a little red light and it never comes on. So basically it's just a quick fix. It's a little solder. The wire gets melted, it pulls too many amps, and eventually it melts the wire. And you know, this can be a really cool little fix for you if you show your girlfriend, hey man, just let me see that, I'll fix it for you. And you can do it really easily with just a couple bucks worth of tools, and it makes you look cool, and it saves one straightening iron from the trash can. But like I said, I mean, I use soldering for everything. I solder wires constantly for stereos, for wires for cars, electronic boards, hot tubs, circuit boards, capacitors, on all types of crazy things. Everything's made at electronics, and it's really easy to try and teach yourself. But here we go. I'm going to show you what we're doing here. Blam. There's the chi iron that I told you guys about. These things are notorious for breaking. This is a soldering iron. This is a small 35 watt soldering iron. They make lots of different kinds. This one's just a 35 watt. It's great for small electronics. It's got a little point on it and it gets scorchingly hot and it melts solder. Here's what we'll be using. This is just Flux. This is old, it's crappy, but it's just called Flux. Tinning flux is what they call it, and this is what's called solder. This stuff's solder. You can buy it from all over the place. It's like a metal. It's a kind of metal, and it has a low boiling point. So, you know, this iron will hit that boiling point and deposit the solder on your electronic connections. Tinning flux is a little bit, you know, a lot of people don't use this, but you should. Tinning flux, what it does basically is it creates an environment that the wires can actually absorb more of the solder. It's kind of like an inert gas, kind of. It helps, like, you know, draw the solder in, and it helps keep, you know, oxygen, which is an oxidizer. It keeps the oxygen away from the wires that you're trying to solder. So, you know, definitely if you're going to be doing some soldering projects, you definitely want to get some solder. You want to get your little 30 watt, 35 watt soldering iron right here. These can be purchased all over the place. They're not but 10 bucks, maybe 15 bucks max. This stuff's about 3 bucks. And this stuff right here is about 3 bucks as well. Let's see if I can open it up and show you just what it looks like. It's kind of just a weird paste. Oh. Okay, so here we are. This is that flux I was telling you guys about. You know, there you go. You can see I just shove wires in it. I'll just take a wire, shove the wire in this material here, the flux. Just get a little bit on the ends of the wire, and then you can hit it with solder, and it's a good joint. Moving from this, here's what you guys mostly will see here, okay? You see how this chi... The light's on right now, isn't it? Now I turned it off. But what will happen oftentimes is this thing just won't come on, man. It'll just do weird stuff. You know, there you go. You kind of see it there. It's kind of, see that? You can kind of tap it and get to go on and off, on and off. But basically, it's the inside circuitry inside this switch that's going bad. So I'm going to show you guys how to take this thing apart, okay? You know, right here we're going to need a flathead screwdriver. This pops off as well as this pops off too, okay? We're going to take both these free and get the screws out inside right here. So here we go. As you can see, I just popped my clips free. Pop the chi clips free, save them and don't break them. Grab a Phillips head, take this whole thing, take your little screw free. There you go. This pin right here, this plastic pin and the spring, it looks kind of crazy, but it just holds it together just like this. So when you pop all this thing apart with this screw, that thing slides right through the middle of this. It's really simplistic. So you unscrew it, bang, it pulls right apart. Watch your little spring. It pulls just apart like this. Okay? Now we want to access this right here, the switch. So we're going to go ahead, tick apart this Phillips head right here. In addition, there's 2 Phillips heads back here, and this is going to pop the iron off. Make sure you don't have it plugged up. You don't want to hurt yourself. So here we go. This is the inside of your Qi. Okay, as you can see, there's a circuit board right here. There's your switch and your little light, and that's all you'd be able to see. And this cover just covers it all up. Okay. So a lot of times what will go bad is this switch right here will go bad, and the solder on the back of this board will mess up. Okay. Another problem you guys will sometimes have on these Qis is this right here. This is just the plug, and it just pulls right out. It allows it to spin 360 and have a constant contact. But what will happen oftentimes is on the back of this will actually get worn out, and by just taking it apart and by cleaning up the contacts and that inner piece in there, just smush it. You want to smush it, make it a tighter connection on the inside there, and then also this metal ring on the outside, just bend the tabs inward. And that will basically, you just want to basically catch this connection and this connection. So smush this as a better connection, smush this as a better connection. Another problem these things have a whole lot is this right here, the reset button. These things oftentimes go bad. And a lot of times all you have to do is you can take this and you can snip the wire, and you can put a different connector on it. You know, if you do that, just be careful, because now it could shock you if you get in the shower with it. I don't know why you'd want to get in the shower with a heating iron, but maybe you would if you're insane. And, you know, water's never a good place for electricity, and that's why they put these on here, so people don't somehow hurt themselves. Okay, this is basically an auto trip, and so basically what it does is if it sees a big, quick drop in amperage and voltage, it pops the trigger. It closes this so you don't continue getting electrocuted. This is not necessary for the operation of this unit. You can just snip it back and go buy a plug like this. For instance, obviously it would be a male plug, but you can just get a male plug from any place, such as Ace Hardware, for $2 or $3, and you can just cut this off, put another end on it, and see if that doesn't fix your Qi. Because I mean, these things cost like $100, and I know, you know, girls hate to pay $100 for something if it doesn't work. But so now I'm going to take the circuit board off, and I'm going to check the back of it. I think that all that's wrong with it is that connection, just tightening it up, but I'm going to check it just to make sure. As you can see in here, nothing really looks that bad. A lot of times what you'll see, if something's melted, you'll see, you know, melted transistor or resistor right here, or this capacitor possibly would be totally melted out. But all this stuff looks good, all the circuitry looks good. I'm going to flip it around from the back side and look if there's any melted areas. I'm sure there's probably not, but here I'm going to do that. Okay. So here we are. Okay, I told you guys, this is all your iron consists of, your Qi, your fancy expensive iron. Nothing on the front of this board looks burned. And as you can see, nothing on the back looks burned either. So I think that we're fine. A lot of times you might see something right in here that's burned. I'm sorry, right in here. Sometimes in those things, well, the tips will be burned off of them, sometimes melted off of them. The soldering ends will be melted. And you'll know right off the bat because it'll look black and melted. Now, if that was the case, let's say that the connectors here, some of the connectors here were actually melted. All I would do is take my handy dandy soldering iron right here, and I would get it hot, and I would just barely touch that right there, and at the same time I would hit it with a little bit of solder. Another thing you can do is let this get really hot, hit this with a little bit of solder, and it will stick to it, okay, to the tip, and then just dab that solder right back here on your circuit board wherever your melted terminal might be. And so a lot of times that will save you guys, you know, from buying a new Qi. So, you know, to recap, pretty simple. You know, a lot of times this is the problem. This thing gets, you know, coated in junk, and or it gets loose and has a bad connection. Sometimes the switch itself, terminals can get melted back here on the back, and or the switch itself is just not working. Third thing that happens a whole lot is that this safety, the auto trip safety circuit will stop working and fail, in which case you can just snip the wires, cut the wires back a little bit, and get a new plug. When you do that part, just be careful, because now it's not going to be as safe as it used to be. It's not going to electrocute you unless you were to happen to, say, get into a swimming pool with it. Then you would have a problem and it wouldn't auto turn off. So, you know, this is a great idea to keep if you can, but if it's between throwing it away and buying another end, just go buy another end. Obviously, you know, it doesn't need to have this crazy contraption. All it needs to have is a normal plug. You know, a normal plug would be like that one, just that kind of a normal plug, and you can find those all over the place. Might even have one over here to show you guys. No, it doesn't look like it. I don't have one. But anyway, I've done it to millions of cords. So that's how you fix your Qi. And I'm sorry that I didn't have to solder anything, but it looks like I already fixed it without having to, so that will have to save that for another video. Before we're done here, let me just show you. Here it is, going back together. I just put the 2 screws back in the plastic and the screw back in the circuit board. Everything's ready to go back together. If you want to watch this right here, you got to be careful because see, this thing just unplugs like that. You can see where the problem might arise. So I'm going to put this thing back together. Hold on just a second. And slide it back into its little hole there, and it just gets held in there with the plastic, and that's what allows this thing to revolve 360, as you can see. Now I'm going to put it back together the rest of the way and put the pins back in it. As you can see, here's my fixed Qi. Light's still on. You guys can see, light's still on. You can now spin the cord 360 and it doesn't turn off. Feed everything around and make sure the light stays on. Yeah, everything seems good. It's just getting hot, and now I just give it back to my girlfriend. There you go, fixing your Qi.